Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing what is the best class to boost to level 58 with the paid boost that Blizzard are going to introduce in the TBC pre-patch. Now, as far as I can see, in my opinion, there's three really good options. First of all, I'm kind of bearing in mind like everyone's kind of best interests, like what they're considering when it comes to boosting a character. So first of all, I have the best option for reliable gold making. Secondly, the best option if you just want a class that can jump into raids as fast as humanly possible, but doesn't have to farm loads of gear, to get ready for raid. That's pretty much raid ready in a very short period of time. And thirdly, we're going to be talking about the best value for your money. Okay, and I'll discuss precisely what I mean by that, when we move on to that class. Before we jump in, guys, if you want to do me an absolute solid, please subscribe to the channel. We are very close to 70,000 right now. I'm going to be doing a celebratory stream for when I do actually get to 70,000. If you want to, obviously tune into that, my Twitch is also in the description. But anyway, let's get on with the video before you start getting angry at me. What is the best class for reliable gold farming in TBC Classic that you may want to consider using that cheeky little character boost on? So for our first option, we have the Paladin, particularly the Protection Paladin. I think having a Protection Paladin ult is going to be your best and most reliable source of making gold that you can possibly have access to in TBC Classic. The reason why I say this is, well, let's say, okay, there's many open world gold farming methods, farming elementals, farming mining, and farming gas clouds, all these kind of things, but I just guarantee you guys that these areas are going to be heavily contested by bots and other players. So very incredibly unreliable method of farming gold. Whereas, as a paladin, you go into dungeons to farm gold, right? And you don't have any competition when you're in a dungeon because it's instant content. Your only real limitation is the, daily or hourly instance cap, which in TBC, Blizzard are actually considering increasing this cap, so that's pretty Bob's your uncle. When you get very decently geared, you can farm at like an insane amount of gold as a Protection Paladin just by essentially vendoring trash loot that you find, and then you can increase your gold per hour by disenchanting the loot that you find. So, the maximum amount of gold, you're going to be pushing easily 900 gold per hour using this method, and then you can also obviously boost other people. Okay, so the boosting meta, what mages have been taken advantage of throughout the entirety of Classic WoW is definitely going to shift over to the Protection Paladin. You're going to be able to boost people in Skeleton Monastery, probably even Maradon and everything like that, and charge people the fee to get their characters boosted. But even without bringing people along for leveling boosting, you are going to make a decent amount of gold, and you don't really need that insanely good gear to do it. Honestly, you just need a bit of common sense. I'll put on my screen right now the kind of really easy gear that you can get from TBC quests, which essentially have defense stats but also spell power, which is just best in slot for a Protection Paladin. You stack enough of this amazing gear, then farming mobs in old school dungeons is going to be very, very easy for you. Spell power is really the key stat here because it increases the damage of Consecration and Holy Shield, which is your main source of damage when you're doing your AoE pulls. And because Consecration affects the ground, it's not like a AoE, well, I guess it is an AoE spell, but it's not an AoE spell in respect of something like Blizzard. It means it won't have a cap, so it will do damage to everyone in its area. Okay, so you're not limited by the AoE cap that happens in the pre-patch, which obviously means that Protection Paladins become the best in slot class for AoE dungeon farming. I honestly think you don't even need to go, all the way up to level 70 before you can start doing these farms, because people are farming Skeleton Monastery right now at level 60. You get some very basic questing gear and you're really good to go. But if you do want to take it further, I definitely recommend getting the Petrified Linking Guard from the Spore Guard reputation, which is essentially very similar to the Skull Flame Shield, but even better. And then you also want a figurine of a Colossus that you can get at level 70. You can actually get the Petrified Linking Guard earlier than level 70. But anyway, this trinket, what it essentially does is, well, whenever you block, you heal. Like, you will see your health bar just go zoom, right, straight back up. It's very, very overpowered, particularly if you want to increase the amount of gold per hour that you can farm, by pulling bigger packs. But anyway, let's move on. Overall, Paladin, absolutely solid option for making gold. Next, what is the best character, well, best class obviously, if you just want to chill, do some raids, you don't want to have to, farm loads of pre-raid best in slot gear, loads of professions, and just spend ages and ages and ages before your character is ready to jump into Karazhan. Well, the best character, sorry, I keep saying character for some reason, the best class for that is definitely the Hunter, okay, because once you get the Beast Lord 4-piece bonus sets, okay, from dungeons, you honestly won't even replace that until tier 6. It is that ridiculously good for increasing your damage. So honestly, all you need to do as a Hunter is get those gear pieces, get a few other pieces that you'll get from quests in the open world, and then maybe some dungeon quests, which obviously guaranteed loot, and then Bob's your uncle, you can ready to just jump into Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, and even SSC, to be honest, because Hunters are just that ridiculous on the damage meters. There's no real need for you to get professions, because you can just get raid gear, right? Because like I said, like once you've got 4-piece Beast Lord, you can jump into a raid and just get raid gear. There's no time, you don't need to waste time with farming professions for certain gear pieces. You don't need to really level up your professions. Just jump into the raids and start getting the raid gear. Obviously you can go and get the reputation pieces if you want, but the reason why I'm talking about the Hunter in this section is because it's just, you can just jump him into a raid very, very quickly, and we're good to go. You will also want to buy the Valanos longbow from the auction house. It's normally on the auction house pretty cheap because it is quite common, and there you go. Like, you are just ready for raiding without barely any time. Like, I reckon you could, like, if you get to level 70, right, you'll be raid ready within a few days. Like, honestly, if you grind quite hard to get those Beast Lord pieces, you can get it done in a few days. But maximum 1 week, you're ready to jump into Karazhan. You just need to get that achievement done, get your Beast Lord set, which you will probably do that at the same time as doing your Karazhan achievement. So yeah, very, very quick class to get into raids. Now let's talk about the Druid. I definitely think the Druid is the best value for money because, let's be honest, when you boost a Druid, you're essentially getting 4 classes in one. Okay, you can play Feral Tank, Feral DPS, Restoration Druid, or Moonkin. Okay, another great thing is you won't have to spend 900 gold on getting him the flying training for his 60% flying, mount, because he gets it for 3 gold at level 68, right? Because of flight form, which is pretty awesome. You're going to save loads and loads of money. You're going to save that 900 gold, and you're going to be able to get that Karazhan achievement even earlier, right? Because you can fly up to Alcatraz even earlier than everyone else. Druids can also get into raids pretty quickly. It's not absolutely essential to go for profession gear, if you're playing a Feral Tank or a Feral Druid. However, you may want to get the, really good gear if you're playing a Boomkin, if you really want to stand out on the DPS meters. So honestly, as a Boomkin, yeah, it might take a little while for you to get really good gear because you'll need Spell Strike and everything. And Restoration, you can go for Moonkin. Moonkin, sorry, Mooncloth, not Moonkin. Mooncloth gear is a little cheaper than the other sets. It will take you a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, it's not absolutely essential for you to get, to be honest. There's like dungeon sets that you can get to, which are pretty nice. So again, you don't really have to spend a massive amount of time getting a Druid ready for a raid. Another really cool thing about playing Feral is that you only need to swap between cat and bear form and a little bit of gear to essentially respec DPS or tank. Okay, so you have the freedom to play 2 different specs at once. There's a number of situations where you'll have to tank, some where you won't because, the boss doesn't need that many tanks. So, like when you're raiding on your day-to-day, you're basically playing 2 specs. Thus, further, reinforcing the argument that this is really good value for money because most of the time you're going to be playing 2 classes at once. But anyway, guys, those are my 3 personal recommendations of what class you might want to consider boosting for level 50. At the end of the day, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. This is just my personal opinion, my personal preference, my personal advice. You can take it or leave it. You may think it was, completely wrong or whatever. But anyway, I'm definitely rambling on, so I'm going to end the video here. My name is MetaGoblin. Until my next video, ciao.